Thank you so much. It's an honor to be speaking today. I'm going to be talking about artificial intelligence, or AI. It's a topic that's really on everyone's minds, with more searches on Google than ever before for the term AI. It's a transformational technology that can be something that brings meaningful and positive change to people and societies around the world, including in the fight against the climate crisis. Put simply, AI is an effort to build machines that can learn from their environment, from their experiences, and from people. And they can spot patterns and they can make predictions better than any computer has been able to do before. In turn, that can deliver innovations and information that's useful and beneficial to people everywhere. AI is already part of your day-to-day life. It's used in technologies like anti-lock braking, autopilot systems, or Google Maps, Google Search, Google Translate, things you use every day. But we're now experiencing a key point in AI development where we're able to use AI to do more than ever before. It can give governments, businesses, and citizens the tools and information they need to make systemic change, including fighting the climate crisis. Today, using examples from Google and other companies, I'm going to explain how AI can help businesses and NGOs to reduce their carbon footprint, to decarbonize their supply chain, and to protect nature. How it can be used by governments and communities to build cleaner, greener environments and to prepare and to respond to natural disasters. And it can help people to make more sustainable choices in their day-to-day lives. Plenty of you here today will be from businesses keen to reduce your own emissions or to take your sustainability work to the next level. So let's start right there. At Google, we're committed to sharing technology and products and methods of funding to help organizations everywhere to transition to be resilient, carbon-free in every way. But to explain how AI can help others reduce their footprint, it's first worth explaining how it's helped us at Google to reduce our own. So Google's cared about sustainability and our impact on the world since we began. And in 2007, we became the first major company worldwide to be carbon neutral. But we knew that wasn't enough, and offsetting was not a sustainable long-term solution. So that's when we started purchasing renewable energy. And within 10 years, we were able to match all of our annual electricity consumption with renewable energy for the first time. And that's something we've done every year since 2017. So Google is now in our third decade of climate action, and we set ourselves a new goal with it. And that's to achieve net zero emissions across all of our operations and across our value chain too by 2030. We plan to reduce the majority of emissions before that and to invest in nature and technology-based carbon removal solutions to neutralize anything that remains. And while we're proud of our progress on renewable energy, we want to go even further. And we want to run on 24/7 carbon-free energy by 2030. That means matching our energy supply with locally sourced carbon-free energy every hour of every day. And AI has been essential to us in all of that journey. It's going to be key for us as we take our next steps. AI can take lots of data inputs and suggest better practices that would be too complicated for a human to identify on their own. And for us, that ability has been particularly useful when it comes to identifying how to run our data centers as efficiently as possible. Every day in our data centers across the world, we use a carbon intelligent platform to compare two types of forecasts for the following day. The first tells us how much clean energy is going to be available on the grid at any time. And the second tells us how much energy we're going to need at any given time. Then we compare the two to ensure that we use as little carbon as possible. So we program the bulk of our work to be at the time when the most clean energy is available through the grid and the least of our work when the supply is dirtier. That's the first of its kind system that's giving us the flexibility to reduce the carbon footprint of our computing tasks, and it does it using AI. We've also worked with our own AI experts at DeepMind here in Europe to increase energy efficiency in the cooling systems at our data centers. They were able to improve their efficiency using AI by 30%, just by using those tools to break down large data set and find ways that we could improve. That's how any customer of Google gets the cleanest, greenest cloud. And that's how 5 of our data centers are operating at nearly 90% carbon free. But AI is increasingly helping other businesses too. Businesses of all sizes, across sectors and across the world, helping them to reach their own carbon goals. Let me give you some examples. The fashion industry is one of the largest contributors to the global climate and ecological crisis. It's accounting for up to 8% of greenhouse gas emissions, and much of this impact occurs at the raw material stage of the supply chain, like when cotton is farmed, when trees are cut down. But when brands source these materials, they often have little to no visibility on the environmental impact of what they're choosing to source. So in 2019, we set out to create a tool that could give companies the data they need to make more responsible sourcing decisions. And in 2021, we announced the first version of what we call the Global Fiber Impact Explorer. It's a tool built on Google Earth Engine and on Google Cloud Computing, and it assesses the environmental risks of different fibers across regions. Risks like air pollution or risks to biodiversity, climate and greenhouse gases, forestry and water use. Combining all of those things together, the tool, which is a partnership between Google, Stella McCartney and WWF Sweden, is launching formally and fully later this year. It's going to enable brands to identify the environmental risks they have across more than 20 different types of fibers and provide recommendations for targeted, regionally specific risk reduction activities, including opportunities to work with farmers, producers, and local communities. In fact, in many industries, AI is helping businesses to clean up their supply chain. Let's take Unilever as an example. 99.6% of Unilever's palm oil is now sustainably sourced, but they want that to be 100% by the end of the year. The process in which companies like Unilever get palm oil, it's really complicated. Thousands of palm oil mills, often working with really smallholder farms. In that first mile of the supply chain, the crops can change hands multiple times. And understandably for a business, that can be quite hard to track. So Google Cloud's worked with Unilever and their partners on the ground to understand exactly where the palm oil is coming from. And that's using AI and Google Earth Engine to follow the process. It's an extra layer of visibility, which means that Unilever can take even more targeted action if a breach to its responsible sourcing policy occurs. And for the company, it's been a game changer in helping them drive that progress forward. But it's not just big businesses. AI can help small businesses to reduce their emissions and to clean up their supply chains too. Normative.io has developed and launched a free carbon business calculator, and it's aimed specifically at small and medium enterprises. It uses cloud software and AI to close the technology gap, a gap that prevents most businesses from being able to take action on their climate challenges. With a grant and fellowship from Google.org, which is our philanthropic arm, Normative.io has now helped over 2,600 small and medium businesses calculate their emissions through their UN-backed carbon business calculator. That's over 7 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions measured across 80 countries, making them the world's largest free resource for small businesses to measure and then reduce their carbon emissions. Meanwhile, in India, where 70% of rural households depend on agriculture and most farmers are smallholders, Google.org fellows are working with local nonprofit Wadhwani to create an AI-powered app that helps people to treat pest infestations, in turn increasing their crop yields and profits. And in Ghana, our Google AI Center is working on something quite similar in partnership with InstaDeep and with the UN. Their AI solution will better detect locust outbreaks so that farmers can implement control measures sooner, which means fewer infestations, fewer crops threatened, and fewer livelihoods impacted. AI can be used by non-profits, conservationists, and biologists too, with tools like Wildlife Insights. That helps conservationists protect our biological diversity. Conservationists all over the world use camera traps and passive sensors to collect information without having to disturb the wildlife around them. So you can put a camera trap in a very large area and it will snap a picture of an animal going by, helping conservationists to track the number of species in a location and create conservation methods to try to save a species before it's too late. But there's a problem. One camera left for 1 month can take hundreds of thousands of pictures. Processing and analyzing those pictures is time-consuming and inefficient, and that's where Wildlife Insights comes in. It uses AI to look through every single photograph, distinguishing if there's an animal in the picture or if it's just a blank background with no animal in it. Once it's sorted through the pictures, the AI model will do species classification, grouping them all into pictures of bamboo lemurs, for example, so that a researcher can filter through millions of images and find exactly what they need quickly And because Wildlife Insights is built on Google Cloud, it allows many different organizations to upload and store and manage and share their data. And by removing those silos, it helps conservationists to derive really meaningful insights, like what countries and environments the bamboo lemur is thriving in and what places don't work for it. That's a tool that's become a huge collection of wildlife insights, living up to its name and providing a guide for conservationists and policymakers that can be used to drive progress. So, businesses all over the world are already cutting their emissions and improving their supply chains using AI. But it's not just businesses and NGOs that can benefit. AI can be used to cut emissions in electricity and transport systems, to facilitate clean infrastructure planning, and to manage and minimize the impacts of extreme weather, making it just as beneficial for cities and governments too. We're already seeing the impact of climate change in cities and communities around the world, with natural disasters such as earthquakes and hurricanes and floods affecting large areas and millions of people every year. For governments, being able to predict, prepare for, and respond to these crises is critical and can be life-saving. So over 15 years ago, when Hurricane Katrina ravaged the Gulf Coast of the United States, flooding cities, displacing thousands of people, and causing billions of dollars worth of damage, rescue efforts began in the immediate aftermath. And some Googlers wondered how they could connect people with useful information and resources related to the storm. So with the help of many third-party organizations and small groups of our employees working together, they were able to develop satellite imagery of affected areas in Google Earth and to build searchable databases so that people could check on the safety of their friends and their loved ones. And those early efforts later became some of the standard actions taken today by the Google Crisis Response Team following any natural disasters, from hurricanes to earthquakes and tsunamis. AI has helped us with this effort. We can now use AI to help forecast hurricanes and typhoons, showing a storm's predicted trajectory so that we can share forecasts on SOS alerts and maps, alongside concise instructions for preparing and advice on how to stay safe. And we continue to use satellite imagery, now supported by AI analysis, after disasters to identify which areas need the most urgent help. This is an approach that we've also applied to floods since 2018. It's enabled us to forecast floods and the areas that they're going to affect, and to help to combat the catastrophic damage that they can cause every year. So in the first few years, we expanded our program to cover much of India and Bangladesh, sending out flood alert notifications to 23 million people in 2021 alone, and working with governments to keep people safe. We're now able to issue forecasts up to 7 days in advance, which is a huge increase from the initial 48 hours. And we recently expanded to provide flood forecasting to 18 additional countries across Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia. AI's help predicting and responding to crises is just game-changing, but it's also being used by governments and local authorities all over the world to minimize their emissions and build cleaner, greener environments. In 2020, we committed to helping more than 500 cities and local governments to reduce a total of 1 gigaton of carbon emissions per year by 2030. And last year, we launched our Action Fund in Europe, committing over 7 million euros to help cities to reduce their emissions and to build resilience to climate change. Helping build greener cities is one of the reasons that we launched Environmental Insights Explorer, which now covers more than 7,000 cities and regions all across Europe. It's a tool that uses data and AI to help cities and regions to measure and analyze emission sources and identify the strategies they need to reduce emissions. In Copenhagen, for example, the local authority is using Environment Insights Explorer to measure hyperlocal air quality, which can vary up to 8 times between different streets, so they can place schools and playgrounds away from high pollution areas. Or in Dublin, the City Council has been using Environmental Insights Explorer to analyse bike usage across the city to implement smart transportation policies. But of course, there's more to do. It may seem a distant memory today, but last summer, extreme heat affected so many of us across the globe. In the UK, airports had to close runways because the tar was melting, while one Canadian town broke record temperatures, not by 1 or 2, but by over 4 degrees. Concurrent heat waves fuel devastating wildfires and threaten millions of people and they're becoming more common as global temperatures rise, with scientists warning that summers like last year's could well become the norm. So today, we're announcing 2 new tools globally, including here in Europe, that can help people and help local authorities to prepare for and combat heat waves. First, we're expanding Tree Canopy to nearly 350 cities globally, including 90 here in Europe. The tool uses aerial imagery and AI technology to identify and combat heat islands, which are patches of a city that are much hotter than others because of the surrounding infrastructure, and they lead to poor air quality, dehydration, and other public health concerns. Heat islands can be reduced with tree coverage, directly improving the health and well-being of local residents. Tree Canopy helps local authorities identify and combat those areas. We plan to roll it out to thousands more cities by the end of the year. This adds to the work that our research team's been doing using Google's aerial imagery and AI technology to help reduce urban heat in cities around the world. Another approach we're working on is called cool roofs, quite literally helping keep roofs cooler by deflecting sunlight and absorbing less heat. Our project, it's still in its early days, is to help identify areas where you can implement this intervention. And in the coming months, we'll launch extreme heat alerts on Google Search, which is going to be a new way to inform people about upcoming excessive heat conditions in their area to help them to stay safe and to stay cool. We know that solving the world's great challenges like climate change will take a collective effort. That's why Google.org, our philanthropic arm, is continuing to support the work of non-profit organizations that are tackling different aspects of extreme heat, including examining effects on public health and environmental justice. That brings me to my last point. AI goes beyond helping companies, cities, and communities alone. In fact, you're probably using AI to reduce your own carbon footprint, possibly without even realizing it. Every day, people use Google to search for general information on climate change and ways they can take action. So last year, we introduced new features to our core products to help people make more sustainable choices. And we started by introducing a new experience for users searching on Google for climate change or related terms. The new layout shows relevant information and guidance from authoritative sources like the UN, including concise explainers on the causes of climate change, its effects, and the actions you can take to live more sustainably. But search wasn't the only tool to get a refit. We know that road vehicles are one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gases worldwide. So last year, we added a new feature to Google Maps for users across Europe. For journeys where you need to drive, Google Maps will now show you the most fuel-efficient route as well as the fastest if they're not the same. It's made possible by AI, which identifies viable alternative routes and calculates the fuel usage for each route based on multiple factors such as historical traffic patterns, and that allows us to pinpoint the most fuel-efficient route to any given destination. For electric vehicle users, we're introducing more information for vehicles that have Google built in, including AI to help recommend the best charging stop for you based on factors like current traffic, your charge level, and your expected energy consumption. And of course, if you use Google Maps to walk, find information on public transport, or plan cycle routes, you're using AI right there too. It's not just our digital products helping consumers make more sustainable choices. For over a decade, our Nest thermostats have used machine learning to help people save energy and money at home, learning your patterns and adjusting the heating accordingly and turning it off when you're out. Since 2011, the Nest thermostat has saved over 105 billion kilowatt hours of energy in millions of homes worldwide, keeping people comfortable while saving them energy. Climate change is one of humanity's most urgent challenges, and this decade is critical in setting the world on a path to a sustainable future. AI is already helping us shape the fight against climate change and helping us find and understand the right data to spot patterns and make predictions. I'm hugely excited to see what's next. There will be many, many more ways that AI can help to fight the climate change challenge that we're yet to identify. And its transformational technology is continuing to improve to build and become an even bigger part of our day-to-day lives. Of course, we'll keep doing our bit to build bold and responsible technology that makes a meaningful difference to the world. The next few years are going to be hugely exciting in the world of advanced technology, and results will benefit all of us. And as with everything, we'll only unleash its true potential when we work together. Thank you.